What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to the JDW SportsTalkShow, where every fan is welcome. And oh man, today I'm kind of going to go on a rant on all this cold stuff that's going on. So our big players, all of our big players, majority of them, right? Darius Leonard gets a procedure on his foot and won't be back until like the end of training camp. And then Ryan Kelly has a hyperextended elbow. He's not going to be back till the end of training camp. And then Quenton Nelson, Carson Wentz, they may not be back till week 6, 7, which is huge. Now I do not think that the Colts or that Quenton Nelson will be out until week 6 or 7. Quenton Nelson has already stated that he is going to try and be ready for week 1. Will he? We don't know. Carson Wentz is, of course, going to aim for the same thing. Carson Wentz could be back before week 1 starts. He really could. But he could also not be back until week 6, week 7, week 5, which may show some troubles. Just for how difficult the Colts' schedule is the first 5 weeks, it really sucks it's happening now. But if you look at it, you'd rather it happen now than later. You'd rather get these injuries out of the way now. Not saying that you want to have any injuries at all, because you don't. You don't ever want to have any injuries. It sucks to see a player get injured. Kills their game. It's hard to come back from an injury, but I truly believe in these players to do the best they could to get back on the field when they will. But there's also life out of football where they got to get their bodies right. So we'll see. So as we've seen already, Quenton Nelson has already said he wants to be ready for week 1. So doesn't Carson Wentz, right? But man, this just sucks because this time is so valuable for Carson Wentz to get to know his receivers, to get to know, his offensive linemen, to get to know everyone on the field, not just off the field. He's really good with them off the field already. He's worked with some of these guys, Mike Strawn, Hilton, Pittman, Doyle. He's already worked with some of these people off the field. And, nothing's best than the in-game stuff, the preseason stuff to get you ready with the team. And I feel that this preseason would have been so important for Carson Wentz to get that such important time in real game time with his receivers, against live opponents in a live game. Yeah, of course the team in the training camp is live. But I mean a real game. You really don't know. You really can't get a true valuation, a true you can't truly get to know those players on the field until you play an actual game of football. Until you play a real live game against a whole nother team of football. It's just how it goes. It's just how it's been. So, this team will overcome adversity. And as Frank Reich said, he's been very calm, which I absolutely love his calmness. I absolutely love his confidence. Chris Ballard as well. Let's talk about Frank Reich now a little bit. Frank Reich, man, you're handling this amazingly, man. All these questions you're getting, you're sticking to your guns. You're sticking to your guns like you always have. You're sticking to your confidence, which I absolutely love. He's not going to come off what he believes in because someone else says something else. I absolutely love Frank Reich for that. He goes for it on 4th down. He ain't going to be scared to admit that, maybe it was a bad call. But at the end of the day, he's going to stick with it. Even though maybe it was a bad call, he's going to stick with it. He's going to absolutely, have confidence with it. And he's not going to have regrets, though. It could be a bad call, but he's not going to have regrets because he wants to show his players that he believes in them in the most important times. And that's awesome. And then the way he's handling these injuries. This is a very well-built team. Not a one-player team as it was back in the Ryan Grigson days. Okay? We don't have a busboy running our team. We have a real general manager who is not just going to rely on one player and who isn't just going to have their job for 6, 7, 8 years just because of one player. Okay? Now, of course, football isn't a one-player game, but a really good quarterback that we all know gave Ryan Grigson a lot more time than he should have had in office. And Chris Ballard, right? Chris Ballard is not scared to admit where he can't draft, what he can't do, what he struggles with. Example, he struggled with getting defensive tackles. He struggled with drafting defensive tackles. So what does he do? He goes out and he trades the first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. In a year that so many players are unknown because of COVID, you don't know. There's no such thing as a timeline. There wasn't no Senior Bowl. There wasn't no extracurricular activities or stuff like that to really help the coaching staff and the scouting teams of teams to really understand these players. You just couldn't. There wasn't, any way to do that in person. Now, watching tape is one thing, okay? Watching tape is one thing, but when you go and get to see them in person, it's totally different because you don't know who they are behind that camera. You don't know who they are behind that mic. You want to truly get to know that player, and that in those in-person interactions, you can't get better than that. You can't get better than that. It's so much better in person. Seeing those live games and Senior Bowls when everything's a little different, they have a bit of pressure on them in a big game where they're going to be drafted and may impact. The stuff is huge, and Chris Ballard went and traded for DeForest Buckner, who has absolutely changed his defense, absolutely helped Grover Stewart develop, who's absolutely will help this edge rush, these cornerback rooms. Chris Ballard has shown he's really good at drafting linebackers. He's really good at drafting safeties. Maybe except for Malik. That was a bit of a hiccup. But, he's also struggled with drafting corners a bit. But he's also gotten Kenny Moore. So Chris Ballard definitely has his dumps. Everyone has their ups and downs. But Ballard is not afraid to admit it. He is not afraid to do what he needs to do, no matter what. For how much crap some of you guys give him, he's a great general manager, man. He is a great general manager. Look what he has done to this team. A few years ago, our quarterback retired. 2 weeks before the season. We all know that story. And this team still went 7-9 with a quarterback that, was pretty good the first few weeks. Had an injury, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into depth with that. Went downhill a bit. But this team still competed. This team still competed every single game. And we won 7 games that year. We won 7 games when our franchise QB retired 2 weeks before. Now, if that happened with Ryan Grigson, right? If this was a Ryan Grigson built team, what would the Colts would have won? What would they have won? They wouldn't have all this. They wouldn't have this offensive line put together. They probably wouldn't have, that defense, which was decent down the stretch, wasn't the greatest, but they went 7-9. This team rallies around each other, not around one person. They trust each other. And that brings me to the point that, yes, the depth is going to definitely be tested this year, especially in the beginning of the year, training camp. Chris Ballard loves that. He loves the competition. He loves this kind of stuff. Obviously, he doesn't love the players getting hurt. Obviously, he doesn't love that. He's competitive, and he doesn't care what he has to do to win a game of football. He doesn't care. He's a great general manager. And, Chris Reed is actually a guard out of from Carolina. I was kind of surprised that we got him for how cheap. Chris Reed is going to be a really good depth piece. And I think if Chris Reed has to step in for a week for Quenton Nelson, I think that's okay. Obviously, it's a huge jump from Nelson to Reed in terms of talent and just explosiveness. But Reed could get the job done. And Chris Ballard has gotten players, look, he went and signed Santevi Julian Davenport. He does what he needs to do to improve something that has immensely struggled last offseason, right? Our secondary was really bad, right? Or last year, our secondary was... No, not last year, the year before, when we went 7-9 with Jacoby and all that happened. Those cornerbacks struggled. Rockison struggled to be the number one. Outside of Kenny Moore, the team was that secondary was pretty atrocious, right? Marvell Tell was young too, but he was okay. But that offseason, he went and Emily Cooker was hurt. He was having problems again. But that offseason, Chris Ballard went to draft a safety in the third round that got hurt. That came in week 2, and that has really helped that defense as well. A guy named Julian Blackman. And then he went to go sign Xavier Rhodes. And look what Xavier Rhodes did last year. Players always rally around each other in this team. With this team, they always rally around each other, no matter who is at quarterback, no matter who is where. They always rally around each other. And that's what you gotta love about the culture that Chris Ballard built. These guys aren't just gonna lay down and die. They're not just gonna lay down and let themselves get trampled over. They're gonna fight until they have nothing left. And that's what you absolutely love about this team. The culture is they don't care who else succeeds. They just want to win. And they're there for each other. They trust each other to do their jobs. It's a great culture. And Chris Ballard has built this team slowly, yeah. But it's showing that the Colts have so much depth now. If a few players go down, yeah, granted, some of the biggest players, there's going to be a difference when Quenton Nelson, Darius Leonard, Ryan Kelly goes down. The difference is going to show. But that doesn't mean we can't compete. That doesn't mean we're not going to compete. Doesn't mean this team is just going to lay down and say the season's over. No, they're going to fight and fight and fight and play as hard as they could and do the best they could. They're not just going to give this season up. It's not, oh, okay, guys, it's off to next season already. The season didn't even start yet. And the thing is, Quenton Nelson could definitely be back week 1. Carson Wentz can definitely be back week 1. Darius Leonard will probably be back week 1. Ryan Kelly will probably be back week 1. Xavier Rhodes will be there week 1. Xavier Rhodes was on the COVID list. And, man, you got to look at this team and look at how well it's built and how well this culture was put together. So Chris Ballard has aimed for. It's what he has preached, and he has done just that. Whether it's through the draft, whether it's through free agency or trading, he's gotten star players all over this team. So let me know what you guys think. I kind of went on a bit of a rant. I think this team will be fine. Yeah, you're definitely going to see a difference when you have 4, 5, 3-star players go down. You're going to see a difference. It's going to happen. But it doesn't mean that those players that step in are just going to be bad. They're going to get the job done. That's what Chris Ballard has gotten done. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. And I really went on a bit of a rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next video.